Hi everybody. Just for fun, this is going to be a very shortened version of Romeo and Juliet, but it'll be fun. Okay, Romeo and Juliet, you have to understand something. There are two families, the Montagues and the Capulets, in Verona, Italy. They're at war, they've been at war for a long time, they hate each other, and they're both family organizations, so like a godfather and like a bunch of cousins on the Montagues, and like a godfather and like a bunch of cousins on the Capulets. So, Mr. and Mrs. Montague are the godfather and godmother of the Montague family. They have one child. His name is Romeo. And Mr. and Mrs. Capulet are the godfather and godmother of the big Capulet family organization. They only have one child. Her name is Juliet. Juliet knows that there's a boy called Romeo Montague, and Romeo knows there's a girl called Juliet Capulet, but they've never met. They obviously don't hang out. They're enemies. There's no Facebook. So they don't know what each other looks like. And that's key to the story. Also, there are a bunch of cousins and friends and stuff like that too. Benvolio is one of the cousins of Romeo, part of their whole family setup. Tybalt is one of the cousins of the Capulets and cousin of Juliet and part of this whole family setup. A few other characters. The prince, who is like the sheriff in charge of making things, keeping the peace. Mercutio, who is a party animal, friend of Romeo. And Rosaline, who I'm about to talk about right now. As the play begins, Benvolio, Romeo's friend, is talking to Romeo. And Romeo is all sad. Romeo's like, oh man, I'm so sad. And Benvolio's like, dude, were you in that grove of trees again writing poetry? See, here's the thing. Romeo just got dumped by Rosaline. Since Romeo got dumped by Rosaline, Romeo has been spending all of his nights, he can't sleep, and so he's in this little grove of trees, and he sits there all night and writes poetry to Rosaline, hoping Rosaline will take him back. And Benvolio was like, dude, were you in that grove writing poems again to Rosaline? And Romeo's like, of course. I'm hoping I get the right words to get her to take me back. And Benvolio goes, dude, as your best friend, it's my duty to tell you the truth. Dude, Rosaline's not even hot. She's just not. Romeo, what? How dare you say that? Rosaline is the most beautiful woman the sun ever shone on. Dude, not even. I'm serious. I would never look at another woman. Romeo says that. Benvolio goes, all right, Romeo, I'll tell you what. You know how Rosaline's not a Montague or Capulet, of course? And she goes to all the parties. Well, there's a party tonight at the Capulet mansion. Rosaline will be there. Romeo goes, I know. That makes me sad too that I can't go there and see her because it's the Capulet mansion. Benvolio, dude, it's a masquerade. We could sneak in. And I'll tell you what. Why don't you sneak in with me? Because what's going to happen is, once you get in there, you're going to see Rosaline, and she's going to be next to an actual hot chick, and you're going to be like, oh, I guess she's not all that great. Romeo goes, I'll tell you what, I'll sneak in with you, but it's not going to be to look at somebody else. It's going to be to bask in the glory of the beautiful Rosaline. Yeah, we'll see about that, whatever. So, they decide to go to the party. On the way, they stop and pick up Mercutio. Mercutio is a party animal. He likes to party. And why else? You know, who else did you pick up on the way to a party, right? So they go to the party. Here they are, coming in. They come in the party. Immediately, Mercutio and Benvolio got their masks on, and they get partying, right? They're working the party. Woo, woo, woo. Romeo doesn't even start dancing. Romeo comes in the party like this. Looking around, trying to figure out which one of these is Rosaline. I gotta see Rosaline. Well, he sees a girl he's never seen before. And the minute he sees her, he's like, whoa, did I ever know love? Forget that sight. I never saw true beauty till this very night. Spoiler alert, that was Juliet. So, he's like, Rosaline, who? Rosaline is gone, right? He rolls up to Juliet, and he does a really slick move here. Romeo goes up behind her and grabs her hand and says, you know, pilgrims sometimes go to holy shrines because they believe that by kissing the shrine, its perfection will take away their sins. Your hand is more beautiful and perfect to me than any shrine, and I'll kiss it to be forgiven of my sins. And he takes off his mask to kiss it. And now Juliet is like, oh, he's good looking. See, that makes a difference. So she's like, oh, no, I think you're too bad on yourself. Look, you're not that bad of a guy. I actually think you're a pretty nice guy. And yeah, I don't think you should talk yourself down so much. I think you're a good guy. And Romeo's all, hey, I didn't just get sent away. So he's like, hey, going forward with that whole, saints and the shrine kissing thing too, saints have lips too, they do have lips, if you know what I'm saying. And Juliet goes, yes, they do. Lips that they use for prayers, not what you're thinking. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what. Since lips are used for prayers, I'm going to pray with my lips. And he grabs her and he kisses her. And she's like, then I guess with that whole thing we were talking about, so your sins are on my lips now, so I have your sins now? And Romeo goes, we can't have you having my sins. You better give them back to me. And he kisses her again. And then she goes, oh, you kissed by the book. In other words, Romeo's a very good kisser. So, right at that point, all of a sudden, Mercutio grabs Romeo's hand and starts dragging him away. And Romeo's like, what are you doing? And Mercutio goes, you took your mask off, moron. Tybalt saw you. Sure enough, Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, saw that it was Romeo Montague. And Tybalt likes to fight. And he's pissed off that Romeo Montague came to the Capulet party. And he actually says, I'm going to kill him right now. Tybalt drew his sword and he was going to go stab Romeo right then. But Juliet's mom and dad, the godfather, said, no, you're not going to. You're not going to make a bloodbath in the middle of my party. Deal with it later. So he would have gotten killed right then, but Tybalt didn't. But they're dragging Romeo away, and he's like, no, but before I go, what's that girl I was with? What's her name? What's her name? And they're like, oh, you don't know, do you? Yeah, that's Juliet. You didn't know that, huh? You never met. And he goes, oh my gosh, that is Juliet? I'm in trouble. And they're dragging him out of the party. Meanwhile, on the other side of the party, while they're dragging him out, Juliet runs over and gets her nurse, which is like her It's a lady who was like her nanny when she was a kid and stays with her. You know, so she's like her nanny basically, but she stays as like her servant. Anyway, so she's like, nurse, who's that boy? And the nurse is like, you mean Mercutio? And she's like, no, the one they're dragging out, the cute one. What's his name? The one they're dragging out. And she goes, you don't know, do you? That's Romeo. Romeo Montague. The only son of your only enemy. Believe me, girl, if there was one man on this planet you could never date, it's that man. And then Juliet goes, my only love. And he's the son of my only hate. What a terrible thing has fate done to me. I just fell in love with my only enemy. And then she walks out and leaves the party and goes upstairs.